What up, Mr. Day?
Hey, how's it going?
You know, sometimes. Oh, what do you got?
I was gonna try and match our heads.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. All right, yeah,
Sorry.
okay, yeah. I just want to.
Sometimes we, like these videos, they end up being great blog posts, and then we blog it later. That's the normal trajectory for me. But this one, you already blogged it, and now we're gonna do a video. We'll
I
see
did
how
it
that
backwards
goes.
this time, so let's
Yeah.
try.
Let's try it. This because everybody needs to see our bask in our logo. What are we looking at? OpenUI. You've mentioned this
OpenUI.
before. Ragtag group of Avengers, tab
Kind
vendors.
of researchers. Basically, the OpenUI is a group of people who like component systems, and we're trying to basically go through like every design system ever. You know, Ant Design, Atlas Kit, Auth0, Bootstrap, Carbon, blah 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 blah.
Right.
All these different systems, and you can kind of support by match count. This is kind of the critical one, right? And you start to see patterns across different design systems, like
Interesting.
65% of design systems have a tabs control, right?
Oh, that's it.
Well, I
And
mean,
it's like one of the most popular. What about
It's probably-
accordion? Where's accordion land? Way down.
accordion. But the trick here is things are called different things. Like they get called like. There's like probably pop over, pop down, drop down, you know, like, and
It
if
might
we
be a
kind of-
menu and some other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we kind of
okay,
like,
okay.
you know,
This is not
consolidated
normalized,
All that. If
you
it was
might
all
say.
normalized, it would probably be a different picture. But anyway, you start to get a picture.
Yeah,
So
yep,
tabs
yep,
is.
yep, yep.
I've been working with a group of people. We call ourselves the Tab Vengers with inside OpenUI,
Capes.
and a lot of smart people, browser people, spec writer people, accessibility people, and then normal people like me, podcast pundits, are working on this. And so here's kind of the repo here. But things we have done, we've produced some research on like all this stuff. It's all in here. All if you go down into tabs, there's like a survey of markup approaches. There's all these parts, like we just basically did an interface inventory and like vertical tabs, sideways tabs, Xbox tabs, all kinds of different radial tabs, you know, all kinds of different things. I think there's one tab here and it has like a phone number in it that calls a phone number.
I like that you did this. The mistake would have been, oh, we know what tabs are. Let's just start implementing and talking about that. Like you kind of like have to do this research. And because you did, then I'm sure it was enlightening and you're like, oh crap, actually this is way more complicated than
Yeah, and then there's all these different markup patterns, and there's all these different sort of, you know, tab list, tab label, tab panels, tab panel, and then they can kind of get more concise. I actually
Yeah.
kind of like this one where you put the heading in there. Maybe lose some accessibility, to be honest, but I kind of like that, like super concise, you know.
yeah,
but-
I get it. And it's not, and then it's like, what do we have to just kind of pick one, or like, how can we support as many of these as we can with one? Because in HTML, there's no way, if that's the end goal is to get into HTML, which I think it is, right? There's no way you're going to pick the top 3. It's definitely the top 1.
Right. You get one shot, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know, you don't get riffs in HTML that often.
No. Yeah.
And so we've kind of settled on this idea of spicy sections, which is you basically take some well-structured markup and you add a wrapper here, spicy sections. That's not the final name. Okay. I know you're going to come up with a really good name. I'm going to come up with a really good name, and then we're going to fight about it for the next 12 years. But
Yeah, that'll be
just
good.
Hear me out. It may be something like panel set, content set. I don't really care. I like Tabby Boy or Mighty Morphin Element, you know?
Yeah.
So, but one thing we kind of have built into this spicy section is this idea of affordances, right? And so a tab bar is very similar in like semantic and accessibility structure to like an accordion, right? Like a collapsed accordion. And we kind of, as we thought about this problem, like people do that in responsive, they switch in and out. And so we kind of came up with a way to sort of support different kinds of, I guess, collapsed content. And tabs are a type of collapsed content. Does that make sense? Are we following?
You are, and it does. I think this is crucially important and probably the hardest part to wrap your mind around now. So now we've left the like try to strike from your mind exactly what tabs are and like move one level of thinking higher and say, oh, tabs is just one type of affordance that is like, how do I hide and show one particular piece of content?
Yeah. And so we can kind of like, I'll show you how it works, and we'll kind of play around with some code, see how it kind of styles out.
Okay.
But I think like it's sort of like we're in the phase where we want people to try it and use it, and maybe this goes into HTML, maybe it totally doesn't. Maybe when HTML working group shows up, they say this is a terrible idea, no, or maybe CSS working group says
Right.
you did it wrong, and that's fine. There's a lot of people
But
involved.
this is
in
how
the world of
responsive
HTML.
images happened, right? Like a ragtag gang got together, started documenting the problem, put together proposals, and then they were able to jam that one through, and maybe you'll be able to jam this one through.
Fingers crossed.
Hey, shout out to Elastic for sponsoring Shop Talk Video. The URL you want to go to is elastic.co/Shop Talk. That'll get you there. Let's say it occurs to me actually that you're kind of video people because, hey, you're watching this video. So maybe video is a kind of format that you like to learn from. Elastic has all kinds of video training available on their own website, video of all kinds, really. Let's say you're really interested in like observability, like observability sometimes is a byproduct of having really good logging and really good searchable logging and graphs and charts for your logs and all that. There's video here for that. Let's say you're really interested in Kibana specifically or something. Oh, here's a bunch of videos. Learn best practices for upgrading without downtime. Pro tips for Elasticsearch. New features in each release. There's so much here. There's a bunch of Kibana specific videos that I was watching earlier that I think are really cool. The core concepts of data analysis with Kibana. So some of the videos you can just like put in your email and you get a link to it and watch it. And then some of these are actual like courses that they offer virtually or on demand that you can sign up for. Pretty cool of them. Elastic, there's a lot to learn. They are a great system. Thanks for your support.
So we start here. This is like the header, right? I've included this script from the glitch. It's a module. That's just whatever, just the quickest way here.
Yep.
Okay, so to use spicy sections, we have a normal section of content. We have like H2, H3, or H2, H2. And then I did an H3 just because we had a question about this in the podcast.
Yeah.
And, whatever. People
I
mess
don't
up
see any
headings all the
section
time.
tags.
No section tags. So check this out. So we can just wrap all this in a...
Oh, you're going to wrap all of it. You're
I'm
not
going to
gonna...
wrap all of it. So I just go spicy sections, and then I go down here and I close it. Spicy, and you see I like have a little bit of style there. I'll show you this style rule that's kind of clicking in. I just put a background on it to show that spicy section.
That it's wrapping all of it. Okay.
So this is sort of my default sort of vibe. And then
it does nothing essentially. It's a tube of content.
It's a tube of content. But so here's sort of the magic. I'll just type this out. Just kind of talk and type.
Yeah, like how the West Wing had those like walk and talk.
Yeah. And so I'm like cruising through the hallway here, and I'm talking and typing. And this is sort of a custom syntax. Again, this syntax would change in the final thing. This would not be final. Smarties would work on this. But you can see that it's kind of like a media query syntax, or it could be a container query syntax if that ever comes out. That would be really cool. So max width, and then 40 M, and then really this will, and then you say, is it like what kind of thing you want it to be, right?
Oh, a named thing.
A named thing. So we'll just do like collapsed, because that's like what you want at like a tiny viewport, right?
Yeah, and this is, I'm guessing, is the accordion style one at a time machine.
Yep, in here, and I can show you how that sort of works. It'll turn blue when it triggers here, hopefully. Oh, I'm gonna save it in like full refresh because it's not super reactive. There you go. We did it. And so now we have like...
Oh, you know what's killing you, I bet, is that you're just changing CSS and CodePen's trying to be helpful and saying, I'm just going to inject the new CSS but not refresh the page. Yeah.
In the like... But even I think if you hacked Web Inspector, like the web component wouldn't pick up on the change. So we need to like observe that property or whatever. But,
I get it.
But see, you can kind of see we have a section of content that then turns into a tube of content. Okay?
You're like tubing, and then because you're thinking, on desktop it's fine, people can scroll, but I'm going to collapse it for whatever reason on mobile.
Tablet, viewports are always super weird and stuff. So that was just sort of like
They look
our
like
idea here.
details. It's like literally the same. And can you pop one open even?
Yeah.
Because it behaves
yeah.
literally exactly
And
like a
like
detail.
I think it should.
Is
have
it a one
like,
at a time? It's not at a one at a time though, is it? They're just detailed.
Yeah, it can be as many as you want here, but maybe there's like another affordance that's like these that is one at a time or something.
I'm only
or an
thinking of one at a
attribute or
time
something.
because that's like the same sort of type of behavior that tabs are. You can only see one. But I'm like, in this, why would you even bother in this? I almost like that the behavior's different here. It's like, who cares? Why would you force one at a time in this UI? You just wouldn't.
Yeah, and you maybe wouldn't, or you wouldn't expect it either. And then I should probably put an example where there's like a link in here because like you want to like when you open it, you want the next tab to go to the link, and so. But anyway, but then we have this little bar here. Let's put another affordance in here, right?
Is it a little bit like a comma?
So-
You just couldn't use a comma because that's in the
Well,
syntax.
that's in CSS, I guess. Yeah. Or, like, so whatever. A bar just gives us good thing to split on. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay,
Secrets of web
let's not
development.
talk about the bar.
Yeah, yeah. Secrets of web development. Sometimes you just chuck a character in there. So let's save it and like do the full refresh just because.
Yeah,
like,
Command Shift 7 will do it for you too, for the record.
Really? Well, I got split ergo, so that's a little hard. Let me zoom out just a little bit, just so we get the right breakpoint.
Yeah, because you got to
So
get real big because
Yeah.
you're saying at a real big width. I want
when
whatever,
there's enough
whatever
room,
tab bar is.
let's like
Ooh.
chuck that in there, right? And let
Juicy.
me change the color because we want to know whatever. We want some visual. Oh, that did it. Okay, we want some visuals that trigger when we have it, right? So
Yeah,
normal.
green, red, blue.
Okay.
And
Pretty
look,
cool.
they're tabs.
They're tabs, and so
This is the most unique one because like, how did you get those to go up there?
well, that's our friend the Shadow Dom.
No way, you shadow domed it.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
right now, I mean, I think in like
I mean, it probably would be a shadow dom in real HTML.
I would
too.
think in real life it's probably going to get a little bit weirder. How do I get this guy to, I can just go ooh ah ooh ah ooh. Can I just am I in the wrong
Sorry,
thing?
you're okay. It's just it's responsive design and hard choices.
My
There
web
you go.
inspector's doing it.
Yeah,
I got it. Okay.
it's a height media query hurting you there. Sorry.
So these guys, these get there's the shadow root here. We'll close the shadow root, but they get slotted into the tab list slot. All the headings do. So we
Yeah.
kind of just loop through and say go to the tab list slot.
Query selector H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. And
Yep.
then it grabs them all, poops them up in the shadow DOM, and then
Puts
does
them
it
up there.
display none of them in the tab
Well,
itself?
when Shadow DOM takes over, when Shadow DOM sucks in Light DOM, it'll just pop it at the top. It like when you slot Light DOM, it'll push it through.
So you
to where
don't
it
you
needs
didn't
to go.
really need a shadow DOM for the other two.
No,
yeah.
not really. Just
Yeah.
they're just open and closed basically.
Yeah.
And then like it'll reveal the H1s here. And
Yeah.
same with the content. That content element is not a real element. I thought we changed
Yeah.
it, but whatever.
It makes me think that unless you did, I don't know. Did you actually use a details element, or did you like write your own hide show JavaScript for the?
It's our own hide show, but
Okay.
it could slot into a details element. It totally could. Like, actually, let me.
Maybe it's just we talked about this in a previous video that unfortunately details, or more like the summary element, wipes out the semantics. So it's probably better that you didn't.
So the tabs are still sort of hanging around in the Shadow DOM, but yeah, it's just
It's a real
quick-
H2,
So
and
yeah,
and it has ARIA expanded on it and stuff. How we've built expandable sections since the beginning of time.
right. But hopefully, one day we get an element that does that for us, so we don't have to do all this
Yeah.
junk, all the wiring up and stuff. And so I thought it might be fun to try to like style that. Maybe I'll just edit my media query here, like whatever. I'll make it min
It's
width
obviously
40
really
m.
quite cool though. It's interesting how much control you are baking into it here.
Yeah, there's a balance, right? Like you need some default styles. Like we have like flex row basically on the tabs, maybe a little bit of gap just to make sure like it has some styles,
Yeah.
by default. But in here, so it's interesting. Styling Shadow DOM is hard, right?
Yeah.
And so
But
what
you've
we-
already broken the ice with some media or some custom properties, which tend to sneak right through, don't they?
yeah, custom properties really help. You could do, so you could do whatever. I have H2s and H3, right, in there.
Yeah, that should go through, right? Even though it's a little unintuitive, but it's because they're inherited properties.
Yeah, spicy sections H2. Spicy
It depends on what property you're about to do,
sections,
but if you're just
H3.
going to change the color or something, it should be okay.
I could do like font size, var, heading size. I think that's sort of what we did in the thing. And then I'd do like heading size is 1 rem or something. That's terrible.
Oh, you've normalized them though, at least, yeah.
Yeah, I can like normalize them and whatever, padding, line height 1 or something. Hopefully,
It's probably
something
that's some
weird's
margin
going
on. It's probably margin, not padding.
Oh, really? Margin. Well,
all right. Put
then
some
I'll
padding
probably just do padding. Oh boy,
No, go.
David,
That's all I do all day long.
just you futz with padding all day long.
That looks beautiful.
We should do a little more chunky. Here we go. So they look very similar. The font weight looks a little.
This
off,
feels
but
HTML-y though. HTML is
whatever.
not going to help you with this. You're intentionally letting it be unstyled so that you have the power to do this. Like when we, when you get a details, the style, it doesn't give you crap for styling. It's you style it. You want
Right.
to change the look, you style it.
Well, and everyone has a different approach to like how tabs look. Like some people have, and so here if we were to like be like, some tabs have a border, right? Like, let me go to like here, like border 1 pix solid, CCC border bottom 0, right? So some tabs look like this, right? It's bad. It needs a semicolon.
It's like a
lot of
reason to
tabs
use a
look like that.
preprocessor at all, because at least it tells you it's wrong. CSS
Yeah.
is like, I don't care what you did.
Yeah.
Sure, I see. That looks good.
But you go down to here, like we don't actually want it there, really. You could get clever. So
Yeah.
we can use these kind of like props to kind of do it, to
Yeah.
style through. So we can say when it's a tab bar, H2, oh man, okay. H2,
And this
H3.
reminds me of the open attribute of details. You don't manually control it, but you can select on it.
Yeah, you can select on it and you can kind of just say like, hey, this is the affordance it's in. And then maybe I want to do like whatever margin inline, like 1 rem or something. I don't really know.
Push them away from each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. So, yeah, I don't know. But of course, I'm sure people's minds are like, well, how do I put a bar across the whole bottom then? Or what if I want white background on the top bar? Or
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. So, spicy sections, and this gets into like shadow parts, and this is just right now.
yeah.
But I think you'd go tab bar. I need to
It has a named part.
named part, background orange. Let's just say. See if we
Nice.
can
Is
get
this
it
going to
do
work
that.
instead of?
Oh, I might have messed it up. It might be tab bar, one word. Tab list. Part tab list. Oh.
Tab
so-
dash list. Yeah. That's neat.
There you go. So now
Yeah.
you can like style just that. No one else gets that.
Are
No
there
one-
any web platform named parts yet? I think that would be a
There's
first, maybe.
not, but I think there's maybe a few in the works, possibly.
I
If you think about like WebKit, scroll bar, thumb, and all that stuff.
Yeah, they made them pseudo elements, but that was a gnarly API. This is much cleaner. I would think.
Yeah, so I think there would be like a system like that where like native elements might get some sort of either like direct pseudo element or a named
Yeah.
part or something like that. So, but maybe in the real whatever, it's like or like content set or panel set, tab bar or something. I don't really know.
No, that I mean that's
You
what
know?
exists now, and that's
Yeah.
not my favorite. It feels like it's more like a little polluty of the old global namespace in a way.
Yeah, well, and you're kind of like you're trying to zero in on a part of it, right? Like it'd be kind of cool if
Right.
Light DOM or HTML or anything that the browser creates, the UA creates around your HTML. That would be cool if it was all universally styled through parts.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
about active tabs? Obviously, we need that. Is that in
Obviously,
there?
we need active tabs. So if we go into the slot list, let's just reveal this active tab. We're on CP1.
Yeah.
I think it needs like some kind of like.
Does
or
it
here.
still do the ARIA expanded?
We have
thing?
ARIA selected true.
Oh,
So
you can
that's a
select
really-
on that, but I don't know if that would make it all the way through. Like you can't. I like selecting on it, but I don't. That would be a lot to ask for CSS developers to just know that there happens to be that property.
Yeah, background red. I mean, like that's what you want, essentially, right? And what's going on? Why didn't it do that? Let's see here.
ARIA selected equals true.
I selected.
It
equals
looks
true.
right, but is it
Maybe.
a Shadow DOM problem thing?
I don't know, but it's applying it to the light DOM element. That's what's kind of weird because I'm not in the shadow DOM here. I'm in the light DOM, and if I go
Yeah.
here, and if I go here, and then if I go,
Spicy sections. It should be hitting.
maybe I just need. Maybe I didn't like H2. I don't know.
It's a specificity problem.
Let
Oh my
me,
god, how frustrating! Oh look, it's made it to the look in your dev tools. Did you
Oh.
spell red wrong?
Oh,
you
I
said
spelled
background. It's background.
Can we blur things out? Anyway, do we know how to blur on YouTube? Okay, golly. Okay, background red.
There it
Duh.
is.
There we go. So we don't even need all that like specificity. So yeah, you can like make however you want. And I feel like with these tools, you can get pretty close to almost anything you really want to do.
Yeah.
You know, you get a little bit of responsiveness. So when your tabs get like too long, you just chuck it down to a collapse or a normal like tube of content or whatever. You can
It's
kind
pretty
of
nice. I
play
think it's
around.
pretty usable. Does it have the like? Would the arrow keys work? Did you get that?
Yeah,
far?
yeah. Let me. I mean, I can. Let's see here. I can just hold up
It's
my
not
keyboard, I
tab
guess,
with tabs. It's supposed to be.
and then I can just show you like. So like you should be able to like use
You can
like
just see your
arrows.
mouse not move.
Yeah,
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 arrows
here.
work.
I'm just doing that, and then
I remember
they're
reading
cycling
about
through.
this. It feels like Hayden Pickering stuff where the world learned for the first time that tabs. When you press tab, you're actually supposed to tab down into the content. Whereas in my brain, I'm like, you should tab over to the next tab. No,
Yeah.
arrow key
Yeah,
is
you
what
should.
does that.
You shouldn't like actually like end up in the like. You shouldn't end up in the content. You should end up in the like, the content panel, or you shouldn't keep like tabbing through tabs. You should end up in the panel, and that's like one mistake people make with like,
Right.
a lot of tab systems.
Which means if
So-
you used this or whatever this turns out to be, you don't have to worry. It's going to implement it correctly. And the more people that use it, the stronger that pattern gets. And yeah.
the goal is you never have to set up ARIA. In my life, the first rule of ARIA is don't use ARIA, right?
Right.
But to make any of these, you have to do all these ARIA things, and this I think gets us to a point where you can just set it, tell us what affordances you want to show where, and boom. So anyway,
Nice.
hopefully people can use it. Sorry this video went long, but I hope like and subscribe. Use it, play around with it. Let me know how it works. File issues on GitHub. We'd love it. So thank you.
Spice it up.